Can we begin, please?
Yes, I think we will begin, ma'am.
All right.
Shall we start?
Yes, Yogita ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
Yes. Respected speaker for today, Dr. Nishit Dharaiya, my teacher colleagues, and dear participants. A very good morning and a warm welcome to the second day for One Earth, One Love webinar organized by Department of Life Science in association with Nature Club of KC College. After an informative, interactive, and a fruitful first day, we are all now set on to the second day of the webinar. I now request Dr. Ashu Vajpayee to introduce our esteemed speaker for the day. Over to Ashu, ma'am.
Thank you, Yogita ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Ms. Ashu Vajpayee, on behalf of Department of Life Sciences and Nature Club of KC College, HSNC University, take pride in introducing and welcoming the resource person for the first session of day 2 of this webinar, Dr. Nishit Dharaiya. Dr. Dharaiya is an associate professor from Department of Life Sciences, Hemchandra Acharya, North Gujarat University, Patan, who has an extensive teaching career of 20 and more years. Being a passionate zoologist, Dr. Dharaiya finds his research interest in biodiversity monitoring, wetland ecology, and wildlife conservation biology. His area of expertise is in sloth bear monitoring and conservation in central and western India. He is also involved in the project on bear census in northeast India. Dr. Dharaiya co-chairs IUCN SSC Sloth Bear Expert Team and is a member of IUCN SSC Human Bear Conflict Mitigation Team. He has been appointed by Chief Minister of Gujarat as a member of Gujarat State Wildlife Board. Nishit sir has actively honed his skills through several trainings at Wildlife Institute of India, Smithsonian Conservation Biology Institute, USA, East China University. His meritorious career is well reflected by his academic writings and rankings. He has 92 publications in several national and international journals. He has an H index of 7, a I10 index of 5. He has authored 4 books and 2 reports. He has been conferred with Young Scientist Award by Society of Science and Environment India. He has been a recipient of fellowship by Indo-US Science Technology Forum, Smithsonian Conservation Biology Institute USA, and International Tropical Timber Organization, Japan. He is famous for his deliberations on sloth bear conservation all around the world, and he has recently come up with his video documentary film on sloth bear in regional languages. For this brief introduction, I invite you, Nishit sir, for your deliberations to this online gathering.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you very much. And thank you
You
for
can
a nice introduction.
You can share
And
screen, sir.
yeah, and thank you, KC College, especially Department of Life Sciences, Dr. Sagarika, Dr. Tejasri, and the team of Life Sciences at KC College. I thank you once again, as you have again involved me in a very nice theme, very nice webinar. The theme, I really like the theme. It is One Earth, One Love. And continuing with this theme only, I would like to talk on the our recent project on community outreach program. And this program we have started since last year, 2019. And our main focus of this community outreach program is to conserve the sloth bear. So I'm here to talk and share about this project, the activities we are doing, and the way we are trying to bring the science or the authentic knowledge about the sloth bear to the ground. Because what I thinking since last 2 years is, if we do lot of research, we publish good papers on a high impact factor journals, we write a lot of things in English that will never reach to our local community, who are the direct stakeholders of the conservation and direct stakeholders for involving in the conservation of wildlife. So if we reach to the local community, or if we want community to involve in the conservation activity or conservation action, then our knowledge or the scientific knowledge must transform into the community language or to the ground. And that is why we have started this outreach program. So at least on sloth bear, whatever we know, whatever scientific knowledge we have, and whatever authentic information about sloth bear we have, that we can take up and we can took to the community. So the community can also know that what is all happening in the world about sloth bear, what all kind of research are going on, and how important sloth bear is to for the conservation or to save in our jungles. So with this, I would like to start the talk, the presentation. We all know that conservation of wildlife is nothing but the saving wildlife in their natural habitat. And we all know that there are two different types of conservation, in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. So when we are saving the wildlife in their natural habitat, it has a lot of challenges because wildlife are directly interacting with the community who are living over there. So if we see from the wildlife perspective, wildlife generally interact with the people. Some interactions are positive interaction, whereas some interaction is negative interaction. So this interaction causes conflict in form of direct and indirect conflicts. So wildlife are also responsible for crop depredation and depredation of livestock, attack on people, and also they are involved in the infrastructure damage in the villages which are very close in the vicinity of the wilderness area or the forest. Same way, on the other hand, people are also connecting with the wildlife, and they are responsible for hunting and poaching or retaliatory killing of wildlife. And people are also responsible, or our activities, anthropogenic activities are responsible for encroachment and destruction of the habitat for the wildlife. And that is why the wildlife generally, because of the loss of habitat, wildlife generally comes towards the villages or the areas, human dominated areas which are close to the wildlife habitat in search of food, water, or shelter. And this all increase the conflict. And this is a biggest challenge towards the conservation. And because wildlife are coming towards people, people's area, dominated area, what happens that the tolerance level of local community for wildlife is getting decreased. So if we want to increase the tolerance level of people, then we have to aware them about the wildlife. We have to give them right information, authentic information, and we have to take their benefits. So if we want to conserve, then the only option with us is the coexistence. So we have to try in such a way that wildlife and people can coexist in the same area, in the same habitat, and both can take the advantages of the natural resources that we have in our areas. So as I said, major challenge to the conservation of wildlife in the wild is the awareness and involvement of the people. People generally don't appreciate wildlife in their area, and when the wildlife is carnivore, like they are attacking on the humans, or they are killing their livestock, or they are damaging their crops, then they generally don't appreciate the wildlife presence in their area. And that's why they also don't involve in the conservation actions or conservation activity. Similarly, we don't have a species-specific approach that what the other countries in the world they have. Every species have their own decency, and if you want to conserve that particular species, which is umbrella species or flagship species of such area, then we should have the species-specific approach for the conservation. Many species doesn't have the proper guideline for conservation or for dealing with, and that is why lack of guidelines sometimes also hampers the conservation activities. So when it comes to the conflict or the coexistence, we have tigers with us, we have leopard. Those both the animals, they are responsible for livestock depredation. They are also responsible for the human killing or human injury, or sometimes it results into the death. Along with these two, we have a sloth bear. So sloth bear are nowadays ranking second or third on on the conflict issues in our country. Same way, when we talk about the crop damage, we have a big issues with the elephants, and in states like western states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and some areas of Madhya Pradesh, there is a biggest issue of blue bull, nilgai, who are also responsible for the crop damage, because blue bulls are always there in the very huge herd, like 50 to 100 blue bulls. They attack on the crop area, crop field, and they damage whatever there. Apart from these all animals that you see in the screen, few other animals are also responsible for the conflict, like wild geese, then wild boar, and there are many other animals who are responsible for the crop damage, infrastructure damage, and also damage to the man and materials. So in this case, the role of community can chime in, and communities are always very vital when there is a talk of, or there is a need for the conservation action. And it is very important that for us, for the conservationists, for policymakers, that we should know that how they can involve as a stakeholder and how we can motivate them for the conservation and protection of the wildlife. Because how community is working is not important. Actually, important is that these community are responsible for the conservation. Who is doing this conservation work actually is not important when it is a community-based approach. The important is how they are working or what they are working for the conservation. And we have enjoyed a lot with the nature. So now it is our turn, or it is our share, that we should also give back to the nature by the conservation action, or by the this kind of community outreach programs. Because being a researcher, being a tourist, being a stakeholder, we have learned from a lot from the nature. We have taken a lot of things from the nature. So now I think it is a time for scientists like us, it is a time to give back to the nature in sense of the outreach programs and conservation activities. So what all I'm talking about today is about the conservation outreach programs or community outreach programs that we have started in collaboration with the Forest Department of Gujarat, and especially the Wildlife Division of Vadodara Wildlife Division, which is in the central part of Gujarat. So we have signed an MOU, and we have collaborated on this very nice program of community outreach program. So I just wanted to highlight the different activities we are doing and why we have started this community outreach program, especially for the sloth bear. So this is what the gist of my talk. We all know that sloth bears are vulnerable as per the IUCN Red List. It was vulnerable in the earlier list, and recently we have assessed in 2016, and the sloth bear are still in the vulnerable list of the IUCN. It is of our country, Ministry of Environment and Forest. We have also listed sloth bear as Schedule 1 according to Wildlife Protection Act. So it has a same status. It is sharing the same status with the lion and tiger and leopard, because all these animals are Schedule 1. Now, why sloth bear has put on the vulnerable, and what actually the vulnerable is? So if it is vulnerable, it has a chances to go endangered if we have not give attention to these vulnerable species. So the next stage or next step for them is to become endangered. And that is why it is very important that we give proper attention and conservation action on these vulnerable species. We don't know the trend of population of sloth bear in the entire world. And most of our assessment we have done in India, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh, even in Sri Lanka, the trend is mostly declining. In some countries, they are increasing, but overall trend of the sloth bear population is in declining phases. Why they are declining? Because of habitat loss, human-bear conflicts. And if I talk about our country, India, we have around 40 people every year die due to sloth bear attack, and more than 200 people are get injured because of the sloth bear. There are 8 different species of bears in the world, but if we talk about sloth bear, if we look to the distribution of sloth bear, this is the historical range of sloth bear distribution in the world. And you can see here, sloth bear were found in 5 countries. They were present in 5 countries, including India. Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. It was the historical distribution. But let us see the current distribution. The current distribution shows the range is shrinking. Sloth bear range is shrinking, and now they are distributed in other three countries. They have extirpated from two countries, Bhutan and Bangladesh. So now sloth bear are restricted only in India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. So if we see the key threats to the sloth bear population, the key threats are the degradation of the remaining habitat for the sloth bear, human-bear conflicts, and the lack of awareness. So if we address these three important issues, habitat degradation, human-bear conflicts, and lack of awareness, then we can come up with a very good conservation opportunity for this magnificent species of sloth bear. Looking to the habitats, sloth bear are found in entire country. Like they are widely distributed in India. On the northern or northeastern side, they are found in a very good forests of sal forest, where the tall trees of sal and other associated habitat is there, and where sloth bear are really feeding on the insects like termite or other social insects. They are also found in the central and western part of India, which is more dry and deciduous forests or mixed forests in western and central or south India. And there, sloth bear are living very close with the human settlement, or they are found in the human-dominated areas. And there is a question, or there is an issue of human and sloth bear interaction as a large. I hope you have seen this video, and this video I put from Wildlife SOS facilities. And this video I put here just to show you that how sloth bear aggressive is. They are very aggressive, and they are aggressive 10 times than the grizzly bears or other bear species in the world. So that is why when sloth bear attacks on human, it attacks very deadly. And this is the trend of the human and sloth bear interaction, or this is the trend of the human and sloth bear attacks on the human in last 10-15 years. And we can see clearly here the sloth bear attacks on the human is increasing year by year. So this is a question, and this is a way for the conservation action. Like if sloth bear attacks are increasing, on the same time, the people tolerance level of the people for sloth bear is also decreasing. So when the tolerance is decreased, and it is a very big question or very big issue if you want to conserve the sloth bear in their wild habitat. So all these attacks, 60% conflict is the sloth bear attack on the humans. Sloth bear generally don't involve in the infrastructure damage or the cornfields or the crop damage, but they are mostly involved in the attacking on the human. So 60% attacks of the sloth bear we have recorded from entire country. 60% of them are in the unprotected areas, which are not protected, or which are not designated as national park or the biosphere reserve or the sanctuary. And that is why it is a matter of worry that sloth bear are coming towards the human dominated areas or in the unprotected forests. And 30% of these attacks are again around the villages. That means sloth bear are going or infiltrating towards the villages. We have a scheme from the Forest Department, which is called ex gratia or the compensation scheme. So if a person which is attacked by the sloth bear in the unprotected area, then Forest Department is become kind enough to give the compensation for this attack. But these scheme and compensation scheme or the other scheme of Forest Department is generally people are not aware about. The local community or tribe, they are not aware about this. So what we have thought is, let us make mass awareness of the tribal, mass awareness of the people of the villages. We are living close to the sloth bear, and we will inform them about these schemes. We will aware them about the sloth bear biology. We will aware about them about the sloth bear ecology and how to avoid sloth bear conflicts, how to avoid sloth bear attacks when they are in the field, and when to go in the field and when not to go in the field. What are the areas to be visited, or what are the areas should not be visited while there are sloth bears. So this is a picture from my field from Gujarat when the sloth bear came into the human-dominated area in just close to the village, and local people have tried to capture that sloth bear with a very simple kind of net. So such kind of lack of awareness generally increase the chances of sloth bear get attacked, because sloth bear will never goes into that kind of net, and they'll escape from the net and then they attack on the person or the people who is around it. Second thing is very common in all Indian villages or all Indian areas. When there is a wildlife around, a mob of people get together, they assemble and they hamper the wildlife existence, or they hamper the wildlife which is there. And because of this reason, wildlife becomes uncontrolled and they attack on the human. So this is another thing that is to be addressed, or that is to be understood when we want to conserve the species like sloth bear or tiger or leopard. So the option we have is the coexistence. So let us do something, or let us think on this coexistence activity, that how people and the wildlife can coexist in the same habitat. So when we thought for this project, first what we have done is we have collected all secondary data of sloth bear conflict or sloth bear attack in Gujarat, and we tried to find out the potential areas where there are more chances of conflict. So we found that these areas of central Gujarat and the northeastern Gujarat has maximum affected by the sloth bear attack. So we wanted to address this area, or we wanted to start our awareness program in this area. So we have started the awareness program by the financial support of Ruford Foundation, UK, even the International Bear Association, and of course Forest Department of our state. We have collaborated with all of them, and we have started the awareness activity in 2011 and 2012. So our the team of researchers and volunteers from my lab, we go to the villages, we work with the villagers, and we show them we give them important information about sloth bear, and we have made the hoardings, this kind of hoardings about sloth bear, that what sloth bear eats, where you can find the sloth bear in their area. And this has given us very good and very encouraging results. You can see here the attitude of people after our awareness program is increased. And similarly, people who are visiting in the forest in the active period of sloth bear, they were 69%, but after the awareness program, it has decreased up to 36%. So these results are very encouraging for us. And because of that, and keeping these results in our mind, we thought about this outreach program. That let us do this outreach program and awareness program throughout the state and many other parts of our country, because it is really giving a promising results. So objective of our project is very simple, that both people and sloth bear can be saved in their natural habitat. We have want to reduce the number of bear attacks that I told, more than 200 bear attacks per year. So we wanted to reduce this attack. We want to increase the tolerance of locals towards the sloth bear, and we want to help people as well as forest department, so that we can do the conservation action in a very positive way. So we started our project with this quote. The quote is Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu. It is a Sanskrit word, and the meaning of this Sanskrit word is nothing but let us coexist with the wildlife. So our program is exclusively for the sloth bear, but it also includes the other wildlife like wild boar, blue bull, and leopard, which are also there in the area. So this is the outline of our project. We have started the education and outreach program. Our education is mostly on the bear safety education, which help us to decrease the conflict, and that in turn increase the tolerance of people for the sloth. Similarly, we have also started ecology and awareness program to generate the positive attitude of people, researchers, and forest department towards sloth bear, and we hope that everything will help in this sloth bear conservation. So not only my lab, research lab, but we have many other organizations are joining hands with us, because the project is very promising and there are more chances of getting good results. So we have these many collaborators with us. Of course, we have Forest Department of Gujarat. Vadodara Wildlife Division is collaborating very closely with us in the central Gujarat. My university and international bear IUCN bear specialist group, that is IUCN bear specialist group, is also collaborating. We are getting technical and financial support from the Leipzig Zoo of Germany, ESA Beartech, that is European Association of Zoos and Aquaria, and the Bear Tech Zone Advisory Group or Tech Zone Advisory Group. They are giving us the support. So this is a collaborative project. Everyone are giving their best for this project, and we are implementing agency, wildlife and conservation biology research lab. My lab and my group is an implementing agency of this project. So what we are doing in this project, we are printing this kind of material. This shows the bears of the world. So we are printing and distributing this kind of material in the school, tribal school, forest department offices, and all the government offices in the sloth bear landscape. So people who are coming to these offices, they know about more about the entire bear world. Like there are 8 different species and where our sloth bear stands. We have also developed this kind of material. This is Bears of India, and very recently we have done a YouTube series, lecture series on Bears of India for 5 days, and we have invited all the experts of bear from our country and abroad, and they have given the talk about Asiatic black bear, sun bear, brown bear, and sloth bear from May 10th to May 14th. So this is also a part of our awareness activity or outreach activity. This is the landscape of sloth bear in Gujarat. So this also we are distributing among the schools and hospitals and all other government agencies, government offices. So where maximum people can see that whether they are in the sloth bear landscape or they are close to the sloth bear landscape or they are away from the sloth bear landscape. Then we go to the people. This is a picture from Northeast India where we are doing our research work to see whether sloth bear still exists in the Northeast India or what other bear species are exist in the Northeast India. So we try to involve people. We try to ask them questions in their language. We try to disseminate our knowledge, scientific knowledge, into their language. We also work closely, or our researchers works very closely with the and we try to know from them. So we try to get the first-hand knowledge from the tribals and local people. This is a picture from Dangs. Dangs is bordering Maharashtra, and many people are also living from Maharashtra in Dangs, and they also give us their first-hand knowledge, their information. So we learn from them, and we also teach them. And we try to show them different animal species like sloth bear, leopard, tiger, because we had a rumor that tigers have visited Dangs. So we just wanted to show them pictures, and mostly we wanted to meet the people who are either of very old age or the children from the school. So these are the main target audience of our activities. Then we have developed a booklet, a small booklet for the forest staff, frontline forest staff, about how they monitor or how to monitor the sloth bear population in the area and how to deal with the sloth bear when the sloth bear comes toward the human-dominated area. So we distributed this booklet to all the sloth bear landscape forest department, forest divisions, and all the frontline field staff. They have this booklet, and the booklet is in dual language. It is in English as well as in Gujarati. Similarly, recently we have distributed this other booklet. This book is for the tourists as well as for the tribal and school children. Again, this book is in both the language, Gujarati and English, and this book is all about the living in the sloth bear landscape. So what should they do and what they should not do while they are in the sloth bear area. So it is illustrated in a scientific way, but in such a way that people can understand what our message. Then we are going to start the community outreach center in Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary in collaboration with Vadodara Wildlife Division, where we are developing a student curricula that we will teach into the all tribal school around the sloth bear landscape. So we will teach students like every week we have one period of sloth bear education or the education about the human-wildlife coexistence. So we are developing this curricula, and very soon, maybe from the next academic year, we will implement this curricula in all the tribal schools of Gujarat. We are and we will doing forest officer workshop. So all frontline staff would be trained by us about how to do camera trapping, how to monitor the sloth bear population, how to do sloth bear estimation, how to do the science survey for the sloth bear, and how to deal with the sloth bear or how to rescue the sloth bear. Because rescuing a sloth bear is lot different than rescuing a tiger or lion or leopard in the field. So our team is also doing this workshop for the forest department. We have planned our project for 2 years, but what is after 2 years? What will happen after 2 years when we left the area or our research team will left the area? So we are also doing the TOT workshops, train the teacher workshops. So after we left the project or we finish the project, the conservation activity will go on. So this is what our aim. And we are also designing the signs or signboards to show or to display the potential sloth bear areas or potential conflict areas. So here, these are the glimpses of some of our outreach activity. Here you can see we are releasing a video documentary film on sloth bear exclusively for our conservation outreach center and the villages and the schools of tribal who are living in the sloth bear area. So our team will go in that area. They will show this very small video of documentary of 5 minutes about sloth bear, where they can get all the information about sloth bear. And I'm really happy to share with all of you that this activity is also promoted by the legendary actor, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So Amitabh Bachchan has also given his video message to promote this sloth bear activity or sloth bear conservation. So this is some pictures of our research team. We are doing the outreach activity. Here you can see we have invited students to our outreach center. And here you can see we are going to them. We are going to the school and giving the lectures about the sloth bear. So the appreciated sloth bear is not much appreciated species because it is suppressed, or the existence of the sloth bear is suppressed by two legendary other species like tiger and lion. Tiger in the rest of the areas and lion in Gujarat. And that is why lots of attention or most of the attention of researchers, policymakers, people are always go towards the lion and tigers, and the sloth bear are not getting much attention for the conservation activities and all such things. So I just wanted to show you the video message from legendary Amitabh Bachchan, who called us to his home and he gave us a video message just to promote the sloth bear conservation. So this message we are also showing to people because this message will do very effective work like Do Bund Jindagi. And you see, we have seen the results of that message. So we are very much hopeful for this message also that it will definitely affect the conservation activities. So let us see this video. I just wanted to show the video. I don't know why it doesn't play. Is it visible and audible to all of you?
नमस्कार, मैं हूं अमिताभ बच्चन। ये हमारे लिए अत्यंत गर्व की बात है कि स्लॉथ बेयर, जिसे हम अपनी भाषा में भालू कहते हैं, स्लॉथ बेयर केवल भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप में पाए जाते हैं। उनके पास भी ईश्वर के द्वारा धरती पर निर्भयता से जीने का अधिकार है। अतः आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत के भालुओं के ये संकल्प है कि हम उनकी और उनके आवास की रक्षा करें तथा समाज में भालू के साथ सह अस्तित्व भावना बनाए।
So this kind of activities has given very promising results to us, and we are thankful, we are grateful to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan that has voluntarily gave us this video message. This video message is spread all over the state, all over the country. Similarly, our video film is also on YouTube. So anyone can see the video film. They can also download the video film. Also, the booklet that we have prepared for Sloth Bear and all the education material that we have prepared, they are freely available for any person from, not only from Gujarat, but any person from the world. They can download all the education material that we develop. And we are developing new materials, education materials. Like we are developing a children activity book. So very soon, maybe in 2-3 months, the children activity book will come out, and we will provide this children activity book or distribute this activity book freely in all the tribal school or the village school where children are also keen to learn about the sloth, or they wanted to know about the sloth bear. So with this, I would like to thank all these organizations you can see here: my university, IUCN Red List, Indian Space Research Organization, IUCN Bear Specialist Group, Bruford Foundation, Wildlife SOS, Youth for Nature Conservation Organization of Maharashtra, because we all have worked collaboratively. Every one of us have given their best to start and contribute in this program. So we thank all the stakeholders, and most importantly, we would like to thank the Gujarat Forest Department, and particularly the DCF, Deputy Conservator of Forest of Vadodara Wildlife Division, and CCF of Vadodara Circle, Ms. Aradhana Sahu and Dr. Dhaval Gadvi, who are working with us and who have given us the opportunity to develop or establish this conservation outreach center in Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary. So even whenever you are visiting Gujarat and whenever you come towards the central part of Gujarat, try to visit our conservation center, our outreach center, give your feedback. Try to visit our YouTube channel, which is Wildlife and Conservation Biology Research Lab YouTube channel. You can see all the activities, video, all the activities. If you visit our website, you can download all the material, education material for the sloth bear. And if you need more information, or if you would like to join us, or if you want like to help us in any way, then you can please contact me. Here is my contact details, and you are always welcome to give suggestions, to ask questions, or if you want to join us, or if you want to contribute in our project. So always you are welcome for this. So I think this is the end of my talk. Thank you very much, and I thank you all for your patient listening, and I think we have enough time for the question and answer for this entire work. Am I good, Sagarika? Is it in time? Ashu?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are very good. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
give enough opportunity for students to, pick up questions that they want to ask,
Yeah.
and the faculty as well.
Yeah, I would love to answer all the questions, and I would love to know the suggestions for this program, because this is a very important program for us as well as for the Forest Department of Gujarat, because this is it's kind of the first outreach center which is exclusively made for the sloth bear and community. So that is why this is a very, very important project for us. Otherwise, whenever you visit any national park or sanctuary area, you will see the orientation center, which is a multitasking and multi-species orientation center. So this outreach center is exclusively for the tribal villagers, tourists, and exclusively made for sloth bear education. And that is why we need a lot of contribution, we need a lot of suggestions, and we also need to know the feedback from people, scientists from around the world. So I would like to have more questions and suggestions from you.
Sure, sure. Sir, the questions are coming in, and we will shortly take them. Before that, I'm
Sure.
just requesting all the participants, there is an announcement here. The feedback form will be posted at the end of second session. It will not be posted now. Please take a note. Today's feedback form will be posted only after the second session is over. And please do fill it up within 2 hours of being posted, because we close the link after 2 hours. We have got a lot of requests from people saying that they posted it, they checked it later and they posted it later. please realize that at our end, we have to process 200 plus feedbacks. And then if we get it in time, we also have to respond, or we have to post that feedback to the people, resource people. So it will really be nice of you if you post your feedbacks within 2 hours of our link being posted on the group. Please cooperate with us. Thank you so much. Can we go on to the session of QA now? Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, madam, Suvarna madam.
Sir,
Very good
yes,
afternoon.
sir. So it was a very informative and very wonderful session, and a great noble work that you all are doing. There are a lot of good response already seen in chat box,
Thank you.
appreciating your speech. There are some question answers. Can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So the first question is by Dr. Manoj Borkar.
Mhm.
Sir wants to know whether the sloth bear is given its share of attention as a conflict species in Gujarat.
It was not, but now yes. Like I'm happy to share this thing also, that in Gujarat there are many other wildlife are also responsible or happening for the conflicts, including blue bull, leopard, lion, and wild boar. And equally, sloth bear was also standing there, but there was not much attention has been given by the policymakers, by the researchers, and by the local people. But since last 5 years, we have started this awareness program and advocacy for the sloth bear, because I'm involved in the IUCN. So I'm also doing advocacy for the sloth bear to our Gujarat Forest Department as well as Ministry of Environment and Forest. And I'm very happy to share that Ministry of Environment and Forest has also taken a note of this noble work, and they've invited myself and Dr. Harendra Barkley for the preparation of guidelines for the human sloth bear conflicts. So very soon this guideline will come out by the Ministry of Forest and Environment, Government of India.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Rachita?
Yes, sir, the next question is that 60% of the attacks happen in non-protected area. Could you please
Yes.
explain why sloth bears leave their own territory?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Actually, sloth bear are omnivorous. They are myrmecophagous and they eat everything. They are generalist in the niche. The only question or only issue which is faced by sloth bear is water and the forest shelter, because the forest cover is decreasing day by day. The development activities are taking place. The water availability in the dry areas like Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, waters are generally the limiting factor during the summer season, and that is why sloth bear generally goes towards the human areas or human dominated areas. Second thing is the most favorite fruit of sloth bear or staple fruit of sloth bear is mawa. So in the mawa season, sloth bear goes towards the mawa tree, and they also feed on the mawa. And these mawa also collected by the tribal people and the villagers, and they are making the local wine called mawa. And after making the local wine, the leftover things they are dumping anywhere in the villages. So what happens by the smell of this mawa? Sloth bear generally attracted towards the villages or the human dominated areas, and they are living there on home ranges.
Yes, I think that answers even answers Sai Kelkar's question, because she also asked the same thing. Are the sloth bears like grizzly bears attracted to garbage dumps? And
They
that
are
could be a reason for them to come to human settlements.
Yes, they are also attracted by the leftover food. आप
Yes.
लोगों ने बहुत सारे YouTube वीडियो भी देखे होंगे जहाँ पे मंदिर के आजू बाजू स्लॉथ बेर घूमते हुए दिखाई देते हैं. That is just because the prasad that we are offering to the god, and this prasad remains as such. I was working in Maharashtra. I was working on sloth bear in Buldana district of Maharashtra, and in Buldana district, the Botha forest is there, and within the forest we have spotted 4 or 5 small temples, and where we have found sloth bear signs every day. Every day we found sloth bear signs, sloth bear scats, and we also recorded the claw marks of sloth bear on the shivling or on the Hanuman Pathar, this pathar we have found the claw marks, and the gate of the door of the temple is also broken by the sloth bear, and they are licking all those coconut oil, coconut and other prasad which is offered to the temple during the day. So in the night, sloth bear comes and they eat all the prasad. So they are attracted much by these human induced food and garbages.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the next question is, many times it happens that people do not care about nature or animals or environment, and they usually respond as they have many more important things. How do we make them understand the importance?
Yes, like our program, this outreach program is one of such programs that we have started, where we go into the school, we go to the villages, we go to the tribal people community. We also go to the other government offices like the Taluka Panchayat office or the village Panchayat office, where we go and we explain them the importance of these wildlife, right? Why sloth bear are important? Because अगर किसी के घर के फैमिली मेंबर के ऊपर स्लॉथ बेर का अटैक हुआ है एंड वहां पे जाके अगर मैं बोलूंगा कि आपको स्लॉथ बेर को बचाना चाहिए, सो आई विल नॉट गेट गुड रिस्पॉन्स because the thing, the tolerance of local people for sloth bear is already decreased. So I wanted to turn it out in a positive way, and we have started these things by teaching the community, by taking their lectures, by making the awareness about the importance of the sloth bear, role of sloth bear and leopards in the ecosystem. So these things will help us to generate the positivity, and that's why the message from Mr. Amitabh Bachchan will be very helpful to increase this tolerance level. That's what we believe, and for that we are very much thankful to Bachchan sir.
Yes, there is one similar question asked by Natasha. She says it is difficult or easy to interact with locals. Do they start interacting at the start, or do you have to take them into confidence
Yeah, it is
to
a very
convince
important
them?
question, and I think though many students who are attending this lecture or attending this seminar, uh, they wanted to work on wildlife. They wanted to work for the conservation. So this is a message to all the students. If you want the involvement of local community in your project or in your research activity, you have to be like them. You have to आप सीधा उसके पास जाके straight away you cannot start questioning and answering or awareing them, otherwise they will never respond you. These community are very shy, they generally don't open up, but on the other hand they are the ocean of knowledge. They have the first hand knowledge that many of us don't know, being a scientist or being a student of biology. हम लोगों को नहीं पता है ऐसे ऐसे फिनोमिना एंड ऐसे इवेंट्स उनको पता है. So when you go and when we talk with them, when you start interacting with them, and when they find you as one of them, then they will open up and they will give you a lot of knowledge. So मैं यहाँ पे ये बोलना चाहूँगा कि मैं बोलता हूँ और हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हम लोग जाके अवेयरनेस करते हैं, but actually हम लोग वो नहीं करते, हम लोग वहाँ पे जाके सीखते हैं. So always go with that attitude that you are going there for learning from them, and you will get the very good results. This is what my experience with the working with the tribals and community.
Yes, thank you, sir. Rachita, yeah.
Yeah. So the next question is by Sachin. He's asking whether the conservation of sloth is enough.
Whether the conservation of
Sloth bear is enough.
it is not at all enough. Conservation of any wildlife is not enough, because if you see the conservation action, when you do the comparison of two different graphs, conservation action and the development, conservation action is far back from the developmental activity. Like all developmental activity and human induced activity are rapidly growing. Like many of our forests are now converting into the agriculture land. Many of our forest is fragmented by the canal and road widening. So not only sloth bear but many of other wildlife which are at the lake of resources, they don't have even place to stay, they don't have even things to eat or things to drink. So the conservation, now the conservation has been started, so we have to speed up the conservation. and we have to balance the conservation and development activity so we can get the best result of coexistence.
Yes, sir. The next question is from Disha. She
Yeah.
wants to know, are there any internship programs for students?
Yeah, we do a lot of internship program, and for that students can write to me or write to my university, or even they can write to the Vadodara Wildlife Division that they are interested to be an intern, or they wanted to do the dissertation or some other research and academic program with us, or they want to volunteer in our activity, conservation activity. They can surely write to us, and they can be a part of this program. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Sir,
you, sir.
the next question is by Ashoyi. She's asking, do sloth bear hibernate or not, and why not?
Okay, sloth bear do not hibernate. Uh, all the other species of bear, they do hibernate because they all species are the high altitude species. Only the sloth bear is a lowland species. They always found in the lowland. If you go beyond 1000 meters, you will not find the sloth bear. And that is the reason why you don't find sloth bear in Himalayas or in Bhutan or in other northeast states, because they are all high altitude areas and sloth bear are not never found over there. So sloth bear do not hibernate because they are lowland species, and they have the fur. The amount of fur on the sloth bear is higher than the amount of fur you find on the Asiatic black bear or the sun bear or the brown bear, and that is why they can do this heat regulation very well by hiding into the dens or by going towards the open areas or grassland areas, and that is why they don't hibernate.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think there is a last question.
Sure.
Hina wants to know whether they are from sociology department, and
Sure.
can they visit? Can they visit with students?
They can, yeah, they can. They have to write to the Deputy Conservator of Forest, Vadodara Wildlife Division, and or the Range Forest Officer of Ratanmal Wildlife Sanctuary, or they can write to us, and we will arrange their visit with the students. And yeah, this awareness activity or this outreach program, we don't need only wildlife biologist or the biologist or zoologist. We do equally need the social scientist or the researchers from the sociology and social science. So you can also join us and join your hands with us, so we can do involve the social scientist people or social work people in this.
Yes, thank you, sir. I think thank you for patiently answering all the questions.
It is my pleasure. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And all of you, if you have more questions or any suggestion for our program, or if you want to suggest something else to increase the tolerance of people or awareness activity, feel free to write us anytime on my email or on my lab's website or to the Wildlife Division of Vadodara. We will definitely involve you and your suggestions in our program. Thank you so much.
So there is one more question. Rachita, can you ask this?
Yeah.
Adesh wants to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sir, in Daroji, Karnataka landscape, the forest department uses jaggery and honey mixture that is applied on rocks. They
Yeah.
say it has helped to divert the sloth bear from straying in human landscape and decrease the man-animal conflict. What is your
Maybe.
opinion on
Yeah,
this?
the hidden agenda is a sloth bear tourism. Like when you apply jaggery and honey to the rocks, sloth bear will definitely come, and those people who want to see the sloth bear or want to capture the picture of sloth bear, they can easily take those pictures. But I won't believe that this will help in reducing the conflicts or reducing the sloth bear movements towards the villages. But the hidden thing behind this is the tourism or encouraging the tourism.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. Especially thank you Tejasri, Sagarika madam, and the KC College and the team of Life Sciences. And
Thank you.
thank
I
you
now
all,
request
all the viewers.
Ashu ma'am to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Yogita ma'am. Thank you, Nishit sir, for such an astounding presentation on sloth bear conservation. I'm
Thank you.
sure it has impacted all of us in this gathering. Your presentation has given us insights on why and how important it is to coexist with wildlife for the benefit of environment. Conservation of flagship species has always been a challenge we understand from your presentation, especially the in situ conservation, due to several challenges like predation of the body parts, habitat loss, land use, species-specific approach, and awareness among the local communities. Hence, your insights on cross collaborations involving scientific communities and national authorities to educate the locals and tribals is imperative through the outreach programs. Hopefully, with this thought of coexistence, as you say, Atmavritta Sarvabhuteshu, we will be able to reinstate sloth bears back in the two nations from where they have been extirpated and also possibly remove the tag of vulnerable species from them. I once again thank you, sir, as well as our principal ma'am and vice principals for their best wishes, the tech team for taking this session throughout smoothly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you. And
Thank you,
everyone.
Ashu.
Namaste.
Thank you, Nishit sir. Now I would request Yogita ma'am to take the session ahead.
Okay. Okay. Sagarika, may I take your leave, Sagarika?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I'll join if I have nothing to do in the university, then I'll
Yes.
join you again. Thank
Sure,
you
sir.
everyone for patient listening and giving your questions and suggestions. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
sir.
much.
So much,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
so much, sir.
It was indeed a wonderful session. It is now time for the second session on day 2. I now request Mr. Manoj Bhandarkar to introduce our speaker for session 2, day 2. Over to Manoj Bhandarkar, sir.
Thank you, Yogita ma'am.
Yeah.
Our today's second speaker is Mr. Stalin Dayanand. Stalin sir holds a BSc degree in chemistry and has done his post-graduation in business management. He is an environmentalist by profession and is currently a director of Mumbai-based environmental NGO Vanashakti. Mr. Stalin has been passionately working for environmental protection and conservation of areas such as wildlife corridors in Western Ghats, mangrove wetlands of the Thane Creek and Shivri. He is also actively campaigning to protect 3,000 acres of open spaces and forest lands in RA Colony. He has filed over 24 PIL to save the environment, and his legal battles through Vanashakti have helped conservation and recognition of wetlands in Maharashtra successfully. He has protected lakhs of trees, and his contribution in getting Mumbai its second wildlife sanctuary, Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary. He has successfully fought the case to revive Ullas River, which was being destroyed by pollution. In fact, few of the people even do not aware that Ullas was a river in Mumbai. Mr. Stalin is engaged in legal battles to secure unrestricted access for common citizens and animals to river. We have a great speaker today who is going to speak about environmental laws, regulations for conservation of biodiversity. Thank you, Stalin sir, for joining us. The stage webinar is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. A big thank you to HSNC University, KC College, the staff and teachers, principal, the Nature Club for having given me this opportunity. I will be just making a presentation, and the questions can be taken later on. My subject today, yes, sir. My subject today is about environmental sustainability or and environment. So without much delay, we'll go into it. I'll just share my screen now. Go into a full screen mode. Yep.
It's visible, sir.
Yeah. So this talk today is about ecosystems and environment sustainability. Before we enter into our talk, it's my duty to speak a few words about the activities and the basis of my organization, which is Vanashakti. Vanashakti is actually a public interest, what you call public involvement initiative, where we bring people together to connect them with forests and all the aspects related to water security of the country. Because we believe that without forests, there can be no water, and people need to understand that, and that's why we should value forests more and more. So we'll go into, and we do a lot of conservation work. We use all kinds of methods like education, outreach, involvement of local communities, ground restorations, plantations, restoring degraded wetlands, even fighting legal battles. Finally, if everything fails to, and we cannot protect an area, and if it is under attack, then we go to the courts and we try and protect whatever we can. So today's talk, like I said, is about environment sustainability. We will go ahead with it. Now, what do you call an ecosystem? We need to understand what is an ecosystem. An ecosystem is, very simply said, it is a combination of biotic and abiotic factors, living and non-living things. At times we think that a rock or a particular landscape, something which is not having life, is not important, but it is an important part of that ecosystem. So we try and understand ecosystem in totality. Like we had the talk about the sloth bears. Without protecting the habitat of sloth bears, you cannot protect this sloth bear. So it's important that people understand this, and there are so many factors in it. It is the local dynamics, then you have the physical factors, the chemical issues there. Chemical in the sense, even the soil composition is very important in an environment. You cannot change that. Like for example, if it's a wetland, if it's a coastal wetland, you bring soil from outside and from other areas and dump it into it, it is going to create a problem for that environment, for that ecosystems. So we have many types of ecosystems on this planet, but basically and very broadly said, we have three types of it. You can say it's marine, terrestrial, and which is in the interface, which we call as a wetland or coastal wetlands. Now marine, when you talk of marine, you have all kinds of marine in it, because it's like fresh water also, you have saline areas also you have to include in it. But when you talk of terrestrial, then you have forests of different kinds. Like it can be tropical rainforest, dry deciduous forests, it can be mountain forests, cold deserts, everything come under the definition of forest. Now we do not know what exactly is a forest because it's not defined as clearly. But by and large, the general understanding is that if you have trees, that means it's a forest. But that again is a flawed understanding, because you will find there are some forests which are called a shrub forest, for example. It has so much of biodiversity in it. But the thing is, it is not seen in the same way as a forest. So we need to understand a forest should be seen in association with the ecosystems which are around it or in it. Now, when you talk of the ecosystems, these are the basic things which you understand very broadly, because I don't want to go into very technical aspects of it. It can get a little overbearing on students and the viewers. Now, forest is what you would associate generally. If you see first visual, when you see on the left side, you'll say, okay, this is a forest. Next, we know these are rivers. Then you have mountains, you have salt marshes. These are all separate ecosystems. Now, what are we talking about here? Every year, 15th August, 26th January, we have this song playing for us. Sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. What makes India so special? We need to understand that. Kyun acha hai? Every country says its country, his or her country, or is the most beautiful or the best in the world. But let's talk on facts. Let's go on the aspects of it. What makes our country unique? We have the mighty Himalayas with us, which is again a snow-clad region, complete snow. We move further into the country. We have so many rivers. India, the land of rivers. Then these are some forests, different types of forests. The tropical forest, the Western Ghats itself, it's a biodiversity hotspot. It has so many types of forests in it, across it, because the Western Ghats starts from Gujarat, goes right up to Kerala, and it has a huge variety of forests. You will find it varying in just 100 kilometers. You will find that it's just going on changing. This is how it generally you will find the tropical rainforests of India. Then you have deserts. People go to Dubai, isn't it, for a nice desert vacation. You ride camels, you go and have those cars which are running on sand dunes, which can be driven on sand dunes. You have salt marshes in the Kutch. We have among the top 10 beaches in the world. This is a picture from Andamans. This is one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. It's listed in number 10. Within the top 10. Then you have mangroves, creeks, estuaries. This all of us in Mumbai can easily connect. It's very much near our own houses, and it's never more than an hour's drive from wherever you are in Mumbai. Now, India is very uniquely endowed. It has two of the world's biodiversity hotspots, the Western Ghats and the Himalayas. India is the 10th most biodiverse country in the world, and we have 400 perennial rivers. Now, like I said, this is what makes India special. इसीलिए सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. Show me one country in the world which has all of these things. All of this. You don't have. No country in the world has. Most of the ecosystems on the planet you can find in this country. You have marine sanctuaries also in India. You have rainforests, you have marine sanctuaries, you have deserts, you have snow mountains, you have salt marshes, you have mangrove ecosystems, coastal wetlands, Indian wetlands, name it. That makes this country special. Now, what are the environmental challenges of India? You'll find it's freshwater loss. We have very little water left. Your groundwater levels, or our groundwater levels, are dropping every year, and we have polluted rivers increasing by the day. Loss of fertile lands. Now, if you go in the outskirts of Mumbai or anywhere else, you'll find that when the rains are, when the season of farming is not happening, or in that time, the farmers tend to sell the topsoil for making bricks. Now, when you take away the top layers of the soil, which is the most fertile soil, then that farmer will get some money for the time being. But what he is doing effectively is killing his own livelihood. That productive soil is gone forever. It will take years to rebuild again. So if you continuously do it, that landscape will become a desert. And this we are seeing with our own eyes, just 60 kilometers from Mumbai. It's a place called Wada in the Tansa Valley River Basin. You'll find that the landscape is becoming a desert because people are increasingly changing it. Changing the soil composition by removing the top layers. And now you have most of the areas are going barren and getting completely arid. Now we have the challenge of drought. Maharashtra especially and Chennai and other states have cities or even states are seeing repeated droughts. Deforestation happens to be one of our big challenges. Every year the government comes out and gives out a figure. In fact, this year they said it has increased. The forest cover has increased. Now I do not know who can believe this. What they have effectively done is they have taken up the plantations and the sugarcane fields, the grasslands, everything into the forest, and they are showing that it has increased. It is a complete manipulation of data. Then we have the landslide issues. We have seen how landslide created havoc in Kerala in the recent floods which happened. It was raining heavily and the entire mountainsides came crumbling down. You have forest fires which are regular. Then there is this issue of solid waste management. You find most of the cities in Mumbai are a mess as far as solid waste goes. Even Mumbai is in a very terrible state. We do not follow the the law when it comes to handling our waste, and we're just going on dumping waste. For example, Mumbai has all of its dumping grounds inside the mangroves, and the law doesn't allow you to do that. But the reason is we don't have space, so we are going and dumping here. And dumping, mind you, I'm using the word dumping. If you look up the Google Maps, you will find that there is a site called as the Kanjurmarg dumping ground, which is listed as the scientific management of waste. Please, as students, apply to the municipal corporation and tell them we want to go and see this scientific management, and you will find the truth. They will not give you permission. They will not take you inside. Now, rapid urbanization. India's cities have been growing so exponentially that today we are in such a terrible state. We have gone beyond our carrying capacities, and we saw it in the COVID-19 crisis that people were just running away and they couldn't run away. They were trapped in the city. And then the chinks in the armor of this city was exposed. Now, what we understand about forests are an absolute necessity for water. If you want water, you need to have forests. There is no running away from it. Mind you, plantations take away water, forests give you water. This is a fundamental difference which we need to understand. Forests provide us clean water. They absorb the rain water and release it when the rain stops. It's a two-way process. In the monsoon, the river gets enough water from rain, but in the non-monsoon seasons, the forests start releasing water for the river. and it provides us the basic need we need for our existence, which is pure water. They filter the storm water, they stop soil erosion, they maintain what you call it, the stability or the resilience of the land, and it prevents us from what you call it, from getting completely decimated. Without the forest, we would be in a complete mess. You would find that all kinds of floods are happening. This is very recent. We have seen it with our own eyes, and we have seen how people can be put to great misery when the forests are destroyed. Now, this is a representation of how the system works, how soil evaporates, then how the clouds get saturated or filled with moisture and then start raining, and then it goes back into the ground. It's a complete cycle which keeps repeating itself over and over again every year. Now, like I said, the data which is being put out by the government to try and convince people that all is well is absolutely fudged. I'll give you a very shocking example. In the latest Forest Survey of India report, it is said, last year, it was said that the Mumbai suburban has 4,000 hectares of forest. This does not include mangroves. And we have been asking the government, where is this forest? There is no document to show where it is. And this forest, mind you, is that classification of forest, which is called as an unclassed forest. Means this forest is not notified as a forest. It doesn't, but it is showing all the characteristic of a forest. So these are areas like RA Colony, which have not been recorded as forest. So here you have a case of the government not really accepting or going on the ground and verifying it and correcting that data. Instead, we are told every year, okay, now everything is okay. Now things are getting better. We have planted so many trees, etc. Now we have been losing continuously. We are losing forest land, and we have lost 670 square kilometers of forest land to encroachments. 670 square kilometers is a huge area. It is as bigger than the size of Mumbai city. And these, if you look at the countrywide data, you will find that these are the 5 states which are seeing maximum deforestation. But now, if you see the recent last 2 years, it is mostly the northeastern states which are seeing much of this damage being done on the forest. Now, forest fire, this is a common occurrence. Every summer you go around anywhere in India where the forests are, it's in the summer season, you will find this is a common occurrence. Now, what we need to understand here, what is getting burnt? People, when we try and put out these fires, and some people come out and tell us, okay, what are you doing? It's all dry leaf, let it burn. It's wrong. That's an absolutely wrong concept. Even in your own villages, when you go, you will find that people morning they sweep the area around them and they collect the dry leaves and burn them. Now that is very, very ignorant thing to do. In nature, nothing exists without a purpose. The dry leaf is there as a security for the plant to prevent it from getting the base from getting heated up. It covers the soil. It keeps the heat away from the soil. It prevents the evaporation of moisture from the soil. And then what happens through the summer, it gets hotter and hotter and those leaves become very brittle. And when it rains, the entire thing breaks down and becomes compost, or it becomes a fertilizer for the soil. It's a continuous process. In nature, man has no role to play. If you see, everything is kept into a self-sustaining system. What we try to do for our aesthetics and to celebrate our ignorance, we start removing these things and burning them, and thereby creating air pollution. That's another thing which affects us. So we need to understand these forest fires have a destroying effect, not just for the soil, but also it destroys all the saplings, all the subadult trees, juvenile trees, everything gets burned down. The forest cannot increase so long as forest fires continue. So we need to stop that at the earliest. And if you see, there were 30,000 incidents, 30,000 cases across India of forest fires. The most saddening part was 4,000 hectares of forest, 4,000 hectares of forest getting burned down in a tiger reserve, in the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. It took days to extinguish this fire, and people worked day and night to try and put it out. And sad part, all these fires are man-made. It is not a natural occurrence. I do not know what pleasure people get by just setting fire to the forest. Now, if you talk of forest fires, there's another threat to the Western Ghats, to every forest which is rich in minerals. Now, it always occurs to me, what is the purpose of those minerals? Do think about this. Has nature put anything without a purpose? No. When we started purifying our water, we brought in something as completely mineral free water. Our water purifier said all minerals removed. Then if you see now, they say with added minerals, which means minerals are absolutely necessary in the water in particular quantities for your good health. So these minerals were left in the earth so that the groundwater can be of drinking water or good health quality for all life forms. But what we are doing, we are removing it and commercializing part of it. Let us say today's world has to do it or whatever, because we want more cars, we want more fancy lifestyle. So we will have to take out some minerals from the earth. Now I'll tell you this case of the Western Ghats. This is the forest of the Western Ghats in Sindhudurg district of Maharashtra. This is what happens to the forest. The entire thing is gone, completely shaven, mountains flattened, complete barren. There's nothing left here. This is an actual picture of the site. See the dense forest around it, and this is what is left of it. And we call this development. The worst part, if we are destroying something, how much should we destroy and for whom should we destroy? And this, like I said, this is happening to help China. All this ore from this area, most of it is going to China because only China can handle the low grade iron ore. It's not high iron content. So it's being exported to China. So just for China to prosper or for China's industrial needs, we are plundering our forests. Now, like I said, loss of forest is equal to loss of water. Surface moisture evaporation, groundwater levels drop, catchments affect, rivers dry up, habitat is lost of the wildlife, and definitely it has a great impact on the flora and fauna. Now we come to the very important component of our ecosystems, which is the wetlands. Wetlands are the most underestimated or undervalued systems of this planet, ecosystems. What do you call a wetland? Very simple, wet and land, where there is naturally a presence of water and the land is remaining wet. It has high water content and it can be periodic or it can be throughout the year. Both options are there. But under the wetland rules which have been framed in this by our government, there is a document or a law which is called as the Wetland Rules 2010. There is the Wetland Rules which have been amended later on. Now this document very clearly defines it as wetlands where the land has water content either permanently or seasonally, but the depth of it cannot be more than 6 meters. So it is an ecotone between the land and water. There is land also and there is water also. Now they are the most threatened of global ecosystems. Now if you talk of wetlands, there are so many types of wetlands. Coastal wetlands, marine wetlands, there are estuaries, inland, riverine, and palustrine wetlands. So many types of wetlands. Now, what is the role of these wetlands to us? Wetlands basically keep water in them and keep the water table of high and keep the temperatures also down. It has an important role in the water cycle. It captures rainfall. It prevents floods. It retains the sediment in it. For example, the mangroves of Mumbai or anywhere else, when the tide water washes these mangroves, it takes back nutrition to the sea and it feeds the sea marine life. So it has, because of its retaining of sediments, it has a nutritional value. It purifies the water. Now, if you go near the mangroves, you will find that you get water which is quite very reasonably pure. These are natural carbon sinks. Carbon sequestration of ecosystems is something which we need to understand, whether it's a forest, wetland, or oceans. All these ecosystems do sequester carbon. They keep the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. We cannot dump more and more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere because we are only killing our own selves by increasing the carbon levels in this atmosphere. And like I said, they prevent erosion. For example, I'll be showing you more examples of what happens when when the wetlands are disturbed. Now, they have a treasure of biodiversity. The amount of wetland birds and wetland amphibians, wetland fishes, which you see, it's so huge that even today, we do not have a completely clear or a detailed document to show what is exactly the biodiversity of the wetlands. It's still being researched. New areas and new kinds of adaptations of species are being discovered. Now, it's a treasure of biodiversity. Wetlands provide fuel wood. For example, the mangrove wood, which is dried, is taken by the coastal communities for their cooking needs, for their fuel needs. And most importantly, what's life without salt? Our salt comes from wetlands. So we can imagine how important they are. And certain types of wetland vegetation is exclusively preferred by animals or herbivores also. And there are so many medicinal properties of mangroves and the trees which are found, or the herbs which are found in the wetlands. In a picture, this is how we can clearly depict, or in a graphic form, what is the importance of wetlands. And one aspect which I did not speak, is the ecotourism potential of wetlands. Many countries use their ecotourism, the wetlands, to promote ecotourism, including our own country. For example, Andamans, and even in the Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary, there are boat rides, which you must take, and you will be surprised to see that Mumbai has so much of biodiversity. Amongst all this chaos and in this entire chaotic city, in middle of all this infrastructure, all this development, you still have so much of biodiversity. Now, when you destroy wetlands, you are destroying the natural habitat of the fish, which again affects the local food source, and also reduces the availability of food for people who live off the seafood. Now, we will have excess water intrusion from the sea. See, what happens is, for example, when we talk of the mangroves and the coastal wetlands, they're standing as the guardians, or the security guards in between the sea and the land. So what happens when the water is stopped by the wetland, the seawater is met with by this entire mass of wetlands, the salt intake into the inland is reduced. So these areas along the coast are used for agriculture only because of the presence of these wetlands. Otherwise, you would find that most of the areas would become like the Gulf. If you look up Google Earth, or if you even go, you'll find that there are no fertile lands. There is a complete absence of fertile lands along the coast of along the entire Gulf region. That's because there are no wetlands there. There are no mangroves there. Now, countries like Oman are trying to bring in mangroves by planting them and allowing the sewage water to feed it, or even the treated water to come into those areas. And somehow they want to create that area into a better resource for fresh water. Now, destruction of biodiversity and economy gets affected. And mind you, we talk about pollution, all kinds of pollution. If you see the wetlands, take away all the pollutants, and the trees in the wetlands soak it out. All the heavy metals are absorbed. So whatever is dangerous is kept within the trees of the wetland. It also filters the impurities in it. So it provides us free services. But the question is, why should we bother? We are in the cities. What have we got to do with those wetlands? Why protect them? What happens if we don't protect the wetlands? Let us say and interestingly, the government did not have the word wetland in its records, in Maharashtra at least. It is only after we went to court and started fighting for it that now the term wetlands has come into it. Earlier, they were all called wastelands. Now, let us see what is the implication of considering a wetland as a wasteland. These are pictures from Chennai and Kochi. Both cities destroyed their wetlands and tried to make airports on them, cities on them. This is a picture from the Chennai airport. This also was built on a wetland. See, wetlands soak the flood waters. So you cannot destroy any part of it. They are sponges. They soak the flood waters and retain it within themselves. Now, Kochi airport, another example. This airport was built on paddy fields. Paddy fields are also wetlands because they are used for paddy cultivation in the monsoon when the salinity is low and there is abundant fresh water. But from owing to pressure from the development agents or the industrialists or the construction lobby, the government went ahead and now they have declared that paddy fields are not wetlands. So, okay, now you can make airports on them. If you make airports, this is what you will get. And the Navi Mumbai airport will witness a similar scene in the coming years. Let it be completed. It is come up on the biggest wetland in Maharashtra. Now let us forget about Navi Mumbai airport. Let us talk about our own experiences. Let us see what happens when you fill up the estuary of a river with mud, debris, and try and make cities out of it. The city looks very glamorous. but then you have to pay a price for it. We are talking about the Mithi River here. Let us see what happens to the Mithi River. The estuary got filled up. This was the estuary earlier, because the earlier this entire area which you see here was all mangroves and low-lying paddy field areas. But since satellite imagery does not go beyond 2000, we don't have the imagery to show you how we gradually destroyed it and see what happened. You saw these constructions which are coming up here. This is the Mithi River. These are mangroves on either side. This was a huge area where the river used to spread out before it went to meet the sea. This is the satellite imagery. This is the estuary of the river. This which you see here is the estuary of the river. This is what we got in 2005. When the Mithi's estuary was filled up, there was no water no space for the flood waters to disperse. I think someone has sent a message. Okay. If there's something, I would request the host to come in, please. Okay, I'll continue for now. Now, what is our biggest challenge? What is India's biggest crisis? These are scenes which you see every year in India. This lady is going down underground 15, 20, 30, 40 feet, depending on that area, wherever they are. Now, why are we doing this? What's happening to us? India is the land of rivers. We need to interpret history with geography. Let me explain. Why do you think India was invaded, occupied, ruled by so many invaders? We are given these stories that we had a lot of wealth. That is why they came here. It's not true. People came here and ruled here because it had water. Water is the basic requirement for any human civilization to continue. So those who came here, they saw there was enough water. And those who came from countries which do not have water, like the ones who came from the Persian side or wherever there was less water, they chose to remain here. India was rich because of its water. We had 400 freshwater rivers, which are perennial. We have thousands of other rivers, but the perennial rivers are 400 or around that figure. Not less than that, always more than that. We have enough water for our citizens, but no. What went wrong? Why are we fighting today for water? Why are we struggling to get our water resources? These are some of the rivers of India. You'll find that if you look at the water resources map, you'll find that almost every river is linked with the other. We don't need the interlinking of rivers project. Nature has linked them. It is we who have brought in obstructions which we need to remove. We are talking of river systems. India has 7 major river systems. Now, what happened? Out of the 400 perennial rivers, I would say a little more were surveyed. 445 rivers were surveyed by the Central Pollution Control Board. And they found that 75% was destroyed. It had no drinking water available in it. And let us say, what are the cities doing? Every day we are sending sewage into it, 10 billion gallons. The cities are disposing of into the rivers. And only 29% of the sewage across our cities is being treated. Now let us talk about Yamuna. We sing about the Yamuna in our national anthem. It hardly resembles a river. It's as good as dead. Most of the pollution which is happening in the NCR region or around it, every bit of garbage and waste is dumped into the Yamuna. So it's no longer resembles a river. In this lockdown, definitely the water quality has improved, which means ecosystems can revive if we behave responsibly. Ganga River, which is supposed to be our most sacred river, thousands of crores of rupees have been spent on it. What is the result? Nothing. But you see in the lockdown, the rivers are reviving. Even the Ganga, in fact, near Haridwar, in a particular stretch, the water was found to be as good of drinking water quality. So everywhere, let us take an example of Mumbai, there are Mithi River. It's hardly a river now. What is dumped into it? Sewage water. And when we went to court fighting for the Mithi River, the corporation came up and said, the pollution boards and the experts are saying there should be 30 sewage treatment plants along the river. We cannot do this. It is not possible. It's difficult to relocate the slums and put up sewage treatment plants. But it is easy to send the sewage into the river and then send it to the sea. Now, when we talk of India's polluted rivers, our state Maharashtra stands on top. We have 49 polluted rivers and 160 polluted stretches, 49 polluted rivers. Stretches means a river can have pure water up to a particular point, then it can get very bad. So in that stretch would be called a polluted stretch. We have 49 rivers which are polluted. Now our groundwater levels are dropping continuously every year. Not a single year has the groundwater come up. In an area which is called the Tansa River Valley, which is a river basin, the Tansa River also provides water to Mumbai city. The groundwater levels have gone up to 300 feet. Every year it's going further and further down. What people do, instead of understanding the alarm or the seriousness of the situation, we just go on digging further and further and further. If you can't get water at 300, go to 400, 400, 500, 600, 10,000, even up to 1,000. People have gone that deep in many parts of the state. This is how people get water in many parts of India today. Chennai, it's the same story every year. Maharashtra is no different. Here, even in the COVID pandemic, this was the scenes. People have no time or no chance of any social or physical distancing. Water is more important, and if they don't draw it now, after some time the water dries up. It takes a long time for the water to come up into the well again. So it's a continuous fight. Now, when I was talking of wetlands, I mentioned water security. What is the basis for this? This is India's national animal, the Royal Bengal tiger. You find this in the Sundarbans. The Sundarbans, we would say it's a saline environment. There is salt, and mammals cannot tolerate salt. The terrestrial mammals cannot tolerate salt. If we were to drink salt water every day, within 2 days we would die off. But if you see this mammal is surviving and thriving here. Why? Because mangroves have desalinating properties. There are pools of water where the mangrove trees remove the salt from it and keep it very little saline or fit for drinking. That's how not only the tiger, but a lot of herbivores are also thriving in this forest, in the mangrove forest. So remember that our wetlands are our power banks. It's like a mobile phone. When your battery start dying out, what you do is you start shutting off the apps one by one. You shut off your location, then you should stop the apps from accessing the net, but it will die out eventually. So what do you have? You have a power bank to take care of your needs. So wetlands can help you tide over the crisis part of it. Wherever there is an issue of water supply, there are no rains, you still have water through the wetlands. Now we always talk of save water. Now, is it possible or is it a solution like turning off the tap? And how long can you save water? Doesn't it make better sense to work to protect our rivers, to revive our rivers, to improve our water resources like the lakes, wetlands, for the forest rivers, or the freshwater wetlands, or the ponds, wherever you see a water body. But what is generally seen is that wherever there's a water body, it's seen that, okay, we have to fill this up and make a building on it. In fact, after the High Court, Honorable High Court had ordered that all the wetlands in the state have to be documented, there was a team which went into the wetlands for checking the wetlands of the Mumbai metropolitan region. The guiding document is a document called as the National Wetland Atlas. All of you can refer to it. It shows that there are wetlands, there are 100 wetlands, 50 wetlands in a particular district. So when the team went out to check for these wetlands, they found that 12 wetlands in Mira Bhayandar were not at all seen. There were buildings on them. But they were seen as an atlas, and they were seen in the atlas and recorded as wetlands. But still you can't see them today. Now we have been urbanizing at a rapid pace, unprecedentedly, just go on, making more and more buildings, more and more cars, more and more complexes. And all of this has come at the cost of our natural assets. We have lost our natural spaces, we lost our rivers. Now, look at this. This is a list of polluted cities across the world. Across the world, if you see, there are 12 cities which are in India. Out of 20 cities in the world, India, 12 Indian cities figure in it. You have Ghaziabad, Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon, you have Greater Noida, Bandwari, Lucknow, you have Bulandshahr, so many of them. So we are in a very bad state as far as pollution goes. Mumbai, of course, is there, but it's not showing in this list. Now we talk of water stressed cities. Today, the worst situation is being faced by Bangalore. Bangalore, as it's known now, was known for its beautiful trees, its natural forests, cool temperature, and a great place to have a healthy life. Today, the temperatures of Bangalore are so high and there's an acute water scarcity. People are fighting for water and they're just going on drilling deeper and deeper into the ground to find more water. The city is rapidly going towards a water crisis. To make water matters worse, all its lakes are polluted. You have seen that frothing lake news everywhere whenever it came up in the media. So that is one of the examples. And Chennai, I showed you the same situation every year. Jodhpur again is grappling with water supply. Mumbai is relatively safe because its water comes from forests in the interiors. We are getting our water from almost 150 kilometers away from Mumbai. Certain forests there are being submerged and from there dams are created. So we don't bother. So our water is somehow coming. So we are indifferent to it. And groundwater has been dropping at least almost say 25 millimeters every year. Continuously. It's getting worse, it's not getting better. So then what do we do? What are our fundamental duties? See, here in our system, there are two people, the citizens and the government. Now for the government, the Constitution of India, remember the Constitution of India is the supreme book of law for us. Nothing is beyond it. No government is above it. So we have to understand what does the Constitution tell the government. It tells the government that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. This is Article 48A. Subsequent to this, in 1972, the Wildlife Protection Act was brought into it, and then it was given more strength so that this Article 48A becomes stronger. Now it was told to the government. What did the Constitution tell the citizens of India? 51A, subsection G tells that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect the the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Are we improving our environment? Are we? Let us see what the government does. This is what our respected environment minister says, very correctly said. He says, clean earth is only possible with sustainable development. He also tells us that we need to strike a balance between conservation and development. Noble words. We salute this thought. Let's see what happens. Now, how does one strike a balance? In the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, this was the information given by the Minister for Environment and Forests, that I chaired the meeting of the Standing Committee of the National Board of Wildlife today through video conferencing and approved wildlife clearance for a number of developmental project proposals submitted by 11 states. Now, in a situation where human interference is at its lowest, this opportunity should have been seized by the ministry to understand the effect of human activity on the environment and how the natural assets were, or natural areas, the ecosystems were reviving. Instead, a meeting was held on video conferencing to clear projects through wildlife areas. And these projects are being cleared without the participation of the National Board of Wildlife. The National Board of Wildlife it's a big body having all kinds of experts on it. There are scientists, there are wildlife biologists who are supposed to discuss and decide when you consider a project about its implications and what should be done. Now, this National Board of Wildlife has not had a single meeting from 2014. For 6 years, India's National Board of Wildlife has not had a meeting. Instead, what is happening is there is a committee, selected committee, which is passing clearing all the projects. Now, we are into a very bad state if this is going to happen. Now, more than 12 lakh people die every year due to air pollution in India. But what does our minister say? He says no Indian study has shown that pollution shortens lifespan. No Indian study has shown. How many Indian studies were done? Have you invested in that kind of research? But when there is research given to you by independent researchers, you count them. Despite seeing 12 lakh citizens die, you come out and say there is no Indian study which shows that pollution has an effect on life. It is basic common sense, basic science that pollution affects health. Now in the lockdown, you know, there were 30 projects which were cleared in wildlife area, 30 projects, big ones. The smaller ones you don't mention, but these are the big ones which are going through critical areas, critical wildlife habitats. Let us assume that whatever I said is wrong. Whatever I said so far is not right. Now there is something called as an environment performance index. It is a method of quantifying and numerically marking the environment performance of a state, which means how well a state has state by state you mean a country has understood the economic environmental challenges and how it is taking steps to protect the environment or how it is taking steps to address the challenge. Now, when you see that rankings, it will tell you which country is doing its best, which country's efforts are good, how things are improving, or how the matter is progressing. Now, let us see India's position on this. In last year, we were 177 out of 180. 177th rank in a list of 180. And which countries were behind us? Nepal, Burundi, and Congo. So is that where we want to see ourselves? This year, we have come up to 168. So we have a long way to go. Long way. This is an indicator, it's a declaration or it's an indictment that we are not doing enough to understand and protect our population from the challenges which it faces in terms of environmental issues. We are only talking. We go to big summits, we make big declarations. Every environment day, every biodiversity day, we come and give good speeches, and that's the end of it. Remember that we are progressing at the cost of the environment. We can't call it progress, but still using that term since it's very loosely used now. With irreversible damage to ecosystems in the form of evolution's advancement, which is, in fact, what we are doing is we are destroying our own existence. We're just chopping away. We always say, save the planet, save the environment. And what is there? What is there to save? You have to save yourselves. The environment doesn't need you. You need the environment. The planet doesn't need you. It has shown, Mother Nature has shown that keeping humans away, everything will be all right. And still we are not ready. What are we going to do now is to go very aggressively to make up for whatever losses we have incurred. That is something which should worry all of us. If we don't learn our lessons, it is said that those who don't learn the lessons from history are condemned to repeat it. We haven't learned our lessons, though we had different viruses attacking us over the from 2000, different viruses which have come from wildlife. We don't realize the importance of keeping their areas inviolate and not interfering in forests. Nature is not a fool. It has kept its checks and balances in place. It has kept viruses inside the forests. You destroy them, you will get it. You will learn the hard way, but if you want to learn. Otherwise, you are always ready to go on to the path of doom, and this is what we are doing. The battle now is to save ourselves. We cannot say that, okay, USA is doing this, Japan is doing this, Germany is doing this, so we are doing it. Do they have our ecosystems? No. Do they have our water security? No. Then why should we copy someone else? My message to you today is to conserve, nurture, and protect Mother Nature. There is no other planet for us. We have to look after this. We have to behave responsibility on this earth. That's what I would leave this thought with you. Think about your own actions and how you can make this earth a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now it is time for the Q&A session.
Q&A team, please take over.
Sir, our first question is, what are your views on RA forest for metro plan? What can we do as an individual to stop it?
Okay. I'm happy someone brought this question up because over the last 6 years I've been answering questions on RA, and sometimes I feel I'm repeating myself too much. RA, remember that it is 1,200 hectares, 3,000 acres of forest, which has been left open, not protected. Now, what we is talking about the metro car shed, it is not a car shed, it is a service center where cars will be, the bogies will be washed, cleaned, painted, etc. And cutting down those 2,500. Someone's mic is on. I think some teacher's mic. Okay, so the forest of RA cannot be a location for locating this car shed, which is going to destroy the forest. The area which this is being taken up for the service center, you will find that once you start washing or using this area for service center, you have acids, you have oil, paint, grease every day being thrown into the Mithi River and into those forests there. And 50,000 liters of groundwater, fresh water in a forest will be taken for washing these drains. What will happen? The purpose of this locating it here is so that the groundwater of RA starts going down further and further. All the forests start drying up. Eventually, the entire area will be opened out. And we said this in 2014 that RA is not the location for it, and the purpose of bringing the car shed is not to only locate a service center. The plan is very big. Today, you know, there is a slum rehabilitation plan there, which brings 80,000 people into RA to live there. You have a zoo which is coming up. You have the Metro Bhavan which is coming up. You have a RTO testing center which came up. All of this came up after the metro car shed came in. So we have to protect our forest. And there are 7 locations where this car shed can happen. Not a single government official has till today in the last 6 years engaged with the citizen to understand what are the other alternatives. They have just refused it only because of the because of citizens' pressure. And mercifully, the Maharashtra government today, the Maha Vikas Aghadi government, has taken a stand that they want to protect RA. Nothing, of course, has come out in paper, but nothing has been destroyed after they came into power. So what citizens can do is to maintain the pressure on the government, and don't forget it. Remember this, the children, this city belongs to you, and these forests are yours. If you want lesser temperatures in Mumbai, you want better air quality in Mumbai, you want a place for recreation in Mumbai, you want to see wildlife in Mumbai, you have to understand you need to protect RA. So we have to take those steps. Maintain your pressure, at least online, talk about it every day. Not a single day should go without you writing something online about RA. We have done it for the last 6 years. The Save RA movement is the longest ongoing movement to protect a forest anywhere in the world by an urban population. For 6 years, citizens have been fighting it. Don't let the battle die out. Keep fighting it. That's what I would tell everyone.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question is by Smita. She's asking, economy is not about protection of our environment. Why it is not given importance by our leaders?
Yes. Now, first of all, I believe that all ecosystems are priceless. We try to raise this challenge before the judiciary that you have to tell what is the cost of a tree, what is the value of a tree, what is the value of the ecosystem services of a tree, or any ecosystem for that matter of fact. When you start putting that on paper, for example, the earlier forest minister one day tweeted that every full-grown tree gives us oxygen and ecosystem services worth 1.75 lakh rupees every year. So we said, okay, though that figure is low, when you multiply that with 2,000 trees, it becomes 3 times the cost of the metro project, of the metro car shed project. So we said, then you are doing something very ridiculous. You are destroying something which is priceless, whose value is much more than what you're trying to show on paper. The government, so long as doesn't put a value on it, will always continue to destroy it. But we today know, we have learned the hard way that ecosystem costs are very high. The value is very high. So we have to push the government. And in fact, you people from your research part of it, you should try and do this. You will find that research of this kind has been done across the world. Every tree, every wetland, every ecosystem has been evaluated. You need to replicate that model and do it for the ecosystems of India or for Mumbai or Maharashtra, wherever you can. Next.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Rachita, can I ask?
yes, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Manoj Borkar, sir, has a question
Yes.
that our developmental model is driven by economy and electoral compulsions. How can we inject eco-prudence in our political class?
It's something which is very something which I've been always wishing for. See, things will change only when you send environment literates to the government. Our election, whenever a candidate comes to you, tell me how many of us have ever asked him or asked his party this question: how will you protect the environment? We have to ask that question. We have to ensure that people who go there have some understanding of the environment. Let us take the example of the earlier government. I'm not, I am a big fan of anyone who protects the environment. I have no political affiliations. I'm just taking it for an example. Now, the earlier government had destroyed lakhs of trees, lakhs of it, and said, we have planted 33 crore saplings in Maharashtra. Where are those saplings? Can you see even 1,000 or 1 lakh of them? In a drought hit state, 33 crore saplings need 33 crore liters of water every day. Who's giving it? Where is it? Nothing. So we buy something, we say, okay, sapling laga diya, to go and cut the trees. Saplings cannot compensate for trees. So we need to understand and take that commitment from every political person or party which comes to you for votes. That, okay, you say you will not cut down the trees, you will not touch a forest. And there is a way, mind you, by saying this, you are not stopping development. There is always a way to develop without cutting forests or hurting ecosystems. There's slightly more money to be spent. I'll give you an example. Now, when you widen a highway or you make a new road, it doesn't have to go through the forest. You can make it elevated over it. Similarly, for the coastal road, the original plan for the coastal road in 2012 said we will make the road on stilts because dumping mud in the sea will harm the ecology and increase coastal erosion. In 2012, they said this. In 2019, they turned around and said, it is expensive, so now we are dumping mud in the sea. So this expensive business cannot continue. Remember, my dear friends, my students, my teachers, that you can execute every project you want without harming the environment, or at least causing less harm to the environment. So we as a population need to make this an issue. Now for short-term gains, the government's own agents go to rural sites and poison villagers' minds that don't protect the forest, you will not get money, you will not be allowed to do X, you will not get development in your area. This kind of lies will have to be countered very aggressively. So we have to make that voice heard. And it's not about what can I do, one person. No, today it's one. See, when we started the RA fight, we were hardly 20 people, 20 or 30 at the most. The movement grew to almost 10, 15,000 and it went across the globe. So that kind of pressure will have to come from the citizens. See, ultimately you are left for yourself. Today, what is the government doing to you? In the pandemic, it's left you left all of us at our mercy now. We can't do anything. There are no beds in the hospital. The systems have crumbled, not just Maharashtra, everywhere. So we have to understand that healthy citizens make a healthy country. And if you want good health, you need to have a clean environment. You want clean environment, you have to have clean forests. You have to have clean rivers. You have to have clean wetlands. So we have to understand that what we are doing is not doing a favor on anyone. You're doing it for yourself and for your children. So we need to get that into our heads and ask questions and send people who understand environment into the government. What Sir said is very right, because this question was asked to me by a member of parliament. He heard me. He said, whatever you are saying, I completely agree with you. Tell me how I can win an election with this. We will have to make it an election issue. And that will happen. If the youth of this country decide, I will tell you, forget forest, no one will cut a single leaf, pluck a leaf from the trees here. Next.
Yes, very true, sir. Thank you.
So the next question is by Dr. Madhav Villa. He's asking, can you explain how mangroves are desalinating water?
Yeah, mangrove species like the Rhizophora mucronata, if you see, it can be demonstrated also. You cut a shoot of it and dip it in a glass of salt water, and you will find, you can test the water. The entire salt is soaked in by the stem, and it removes it and holds it within, and then when it perspires, if you find, you go and touch the mangrove leaves, you will find a layer of salt on it. It excretes the salt through its leaves by removing it from the water. See, in high salinity, mangroves cannot grow. They need less salinity. They are salt tolerant species. They are not salt dependent species. So how they have made that adaptation? The adaptation made is for their own survival, but we benefit from it. So basically mangroves remove the salt, soak it into their systems and evaporate it through the leaves. So for the water at the base has less salinity in it. Next.
Thank you, sir.
So can I ask next question?
Please.
So Disha wants to know what are your views on RA forest for metro plan, and what can we do as an individual to stop it?
I think I answered that question, the same thing. About RA, I had a detailed explanation. Very simply said, there are many other locations like BKC, Back Bay, Kanjurmarg, etc., Mahalakshmi Racecourse. These places can be used for the metro car shed. There is no need to go into a forest and cut down 3,000 trees, take away 66 hectares of land and plunder it. There is no need for it. There are enough options available for the metro car shed along the route also. So it is a question of a needless destruction. And I always believe that needless destruction must be avoided at all costs. And there is no cost which is too high to be paid to protect the environment.
Yes, thank you, sir. Rachita, there is question from Sony Paul, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now, Sony Paul ma'am was asking that how we can educate our politicians about environmental and sustainable development.
The term sustainable development is an oxymoron. It cannot happen. You have to learn to sustain first. The fact that we are using the word sustainability, it means that we have not learned to sustain. We first need to get that into our system. And what I would say, like you very correctly said, ma'am, the people who need the most awareness, we always talk of awareness of the masses. It's the politicians who need to be made aware. I would request students to make their projects and go to the nearest government officials in their area and take their view on the subject. And on technical subject, I mean, you ask them, how do you evaluate this loss? What is the effect of cutting down these trees, etc.? Make them answer it. They should be reminded of their lack of knowledge, their ignorance regarding environmental matters. That is very important. Today, what happens is, I would say 95% of the system which governs us does not have any clue about what environment is. We have picked up loose terms from somewhere. We must balance development and environment. We must plant more trees. We must engage in sustainable development. All these terms are said. If you ask them to explain, zero. So students should go and ask them, please explain. How does making a car shed inside RA become sustainable development? You know, the ridiculous argument which was given was that the metro car shed, the metro project will give more benefit than the trees and they would give more oxygen. So if that kind of arguments is coming, you can only laugh at it. You can't indulge in their ignorance. So students will have to start questioning and don't go and fight. I'm not telling people to go and start fighting. I said, you make them aware. You don't know what you're talking about and leave it at that. Every human has this. When you feel hurt that you are ignorant, you start learning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now I would like to call Vaisha ma'am for asking you one question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I am Kariya, junior college teacher. Sir, my question is kind of, my personal observation when in monsoon, in a rainy season, when I visit my native place, which is in coastal line, mostly the Raigad district and Ratnagiri and around, what I see is that when it's raining, so much of water is flowing over there. And if I visit the same place in month of March, it's all water scarcity on there. What is it? Whether it's a insufficient there, or we can do, with some more dam projects over there, or whatever, like maybe the topography that it's more hilly there. So perhaps, where you can hold the water for dam and all. What are your views on it? What do you think will help?
Dams are absolute no. Dams don't provide water. What you can do, you have to improve the catchment capacity of the forest where it's originated. The hills will have to be forested even more. And you see, every river has three areas. One is the upper catchment. The second is the lower areas where the water starts flowing in from the land. And then the estuarial part. So you will have to treat the river in a holistic manner and try and afforest as much as you can on the top. Don't plant trees where the river becomes flat. It will only draw the water away. So wherever the originating parts will have to be, the forests have to be improved there. And instead of dams, you can have smaller check dams which keep the water in what you call at certain levels, because that water is going into the ground. And as much as the groundwater will starts recharging, you will find that the cycle of water's what you call security or water providing will improve. The forest will get more water, the groundwater will come up, and you will find that the entire ecosystem will recover. If you make dams, if you see all developed countries are removing their dams because it doesn't give you any long-term benefits.
Okay, thank you, sir. Over to host of today.
Thank you, sir. I request Manoj Bhandarkar, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Yogita ma'am. Thank you, Stalin sir, for a great talk. And when I initially said Mr. Stalin has been passionately working for environmental protection, it was truly seen in your speech. And in fact, I feel this was one of the most experienced speech we have ever seen. Starting from the explanation of the term "Sare Jahan Se Acha," we had a very different view on it today by you. And you had done some shocking revelations about forest data, river data in Mumbai especially, and you have also covered the legal aspects and environmental protection. And finally, I think all the participants must have taken a mantra from him about conserve, nurture, and protect. I thank you, sir, and for the really great speech about even the question answer. You have covered a lot of things which was much different than your original things. And I thank for the great seminar you have given today. I also thank Principal Dr. Hemlata Bagla, all the vice principals, take team, and the entire environmental committee for conducting such a great seminar today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stalin sir, again.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Manoj sir. Dear participants, we have had a great second day in the 3-day webinar organized by Department of Life Science in association with Nature Club of KC College. We will again join in for the third day tomorrow. Before we call it a day, I request Dr. Sagarika Damle, Head Department of Life Sciences, to address the gathering. Over to you, Sagarika ma'am.
Thank you, Yogita ma'am. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Stalin sir. That was really wonderful. You have already been thanked with, and you must see the chat box. They are all saying what a wonderful session this was. And if I can say that these both the speakers today, Nishit sir and Stalin sir, I think what they did best was, I think they had a lot of dialogue with the participants, and I'm sure the participants must be happy that they could get their queries answered. So once again, thank you for that to both the resource persons today. Just before we close, one announcement for tomorrow. As we all have been briefed yesterday as well, that our university, that is HSNC University Mumbai, is going to be inaugurated officially tomorrow at 11 o'clock by the Honorable Chancellor and the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. So therefore, that program is at 11, because of which we have rescheduled our webinar to another time slot. So we will be joining tomorrow at 3 p.m. So tomorrow's seminar time is 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I request participants to please take a note of it. Also, the feedback form for today's session has been already put on the chat box. Please make sure that everybody fills the form within 2 hours, because after that, the link will be closed. I hope everybody had a good time today, and we are looking forward for all of you to join us tomorrow. So thank you once again, and let's meet tomorrow. Thank you. Over to the tech team.